But I grew up in a little cove that was very worldly minded because of these people. I mean, I heard Japanese and Korean and Chinese and different African dialects and Portuguese and Spanish. All these languages were taught, or heard rather, in our community. And so we grew up with a worldview, but more than that, I grew up among men and women that not only had served the Lord all their lives, but they were fun-loving, balanced Christians. And they gave me an appetite for what they had. My mother said one time when I was a little girl, she got up late one morning, and so she threw on a robe and she threw some curlers in her hair, and she grabbed my brother out of his crib, didn't change his diaper first, and put him in his high chair. And my two sisters came in to get their breakfast, and they were talking a mile a minute, and I take a little time to get going in the morning, so that was irritating me. So Mother came and put my breakfast down in front of me, and she said, I threw my fork down and I banged it, and I said, Mama, I said, between looking at you and smelling Franklin and listening to my sisters, I'm not hungry, and I got up and left the table. But I look at that as a spiritual illustration. I grew up among men and women that gave me an appetite for what they had. And, you know, at my age now and having as many children and grandchildren as I have, I think it's very important that we give an appetite to the next generation. And by looking at some of us and smelling others and listening to others, they're not hungry for what we have. And if they don't see us enjoying our faith and that it's meaningful in our lives personally, they don't want it. And so I think that's very important. So I was so grateful that I grew up among men and women like that. But it was a small community. So when Daddy realized that he was going to be traveling as much as he was, then he graciously asked my mother, where would you like to live? And she said she would like to live near her parents. And so that's why we ended up there. So it was a small community, so it wasn't a fishbowl. And we grew up just as the Graham kids, and we were just as naughty as everybody else. And in fact, Mother said of me, there was never a little girl that tried harder to be good and was so bad at it than I was. So